You directed a promo spot for your Valley Mentality. Let's talk about it. I just watched it, bro. I'm completely blown away. For real.
No
It's
way.
dude, it's got you perfectly captured the essence of what I think you were trying to convey. That character is so
Uh,
fucking funny and so distinct. And the wife thing, like the whole thing, bro. Where did you shoot it? Did you shoot it in the valley?
in the valley.
Was
Sherman
it
Oaks Park. What?
was it like a lake where he was fishing?
Oh my gosh. I love hearing reactions in
Because I
comparison to
watched it
what
once.
everything thought in my head. What?
Because I watched it once. And
Totally. No, no, no. That's so fair. The lake thing. That's literally the LA River. That we found an entrance point to at Studio City. There's like
yeah.
a ramp in there, and we had to fake. We couldn't even get into the river, so like we were just on the top part of it and just tried to make it look like Tanner was like filming something into it. Um, dude, I'm no, no, no. I really appreciate that. That it got you fired up. And dude, funny enough, I mean, we're already seeing because Tanner showed it to a bunch of people too. And they're like, how the hell do you guys come up with this type of thing? And it just kind of, I think we could do like a whole series out of that character and his
Totally.
wife. Marissa's so great too.
Totally.
Like, just see them doing different stuff in the valley for starters, or what happens when they confront people from across the on the other side of the
Yeah,
hill,
dude.
et cetera, et cetera.
Damn, bro. Even Marissa's character, she had like one line and it was so weird. It was like something about fish.
No, it always is.
Yeah.
She reminded me of like an Adams Family character, like Wednesday.
Yeah. Or
It's
there's
something.
something else like a Russian kind of thing,
Yeah,
you know?
dude,
Um
she threw that wig on, and it just made it instantly like you couldn't tell it was her really, and also it makes it great because we have two other commercials coming, two like 10-second vignettes, 15-second, and she's not wearing a wig in those, so it made it so that we can, she's gonna act in all of them.
I liked how it was shot too. You
Thank
used
you.
film?
No, I think it's just the effect that he uses.
Who shot it?
Our buddy, he's a friend of a friend now. His name's Robbie.
Mhm.
And he's just this dude. He does a lot of commercials or like music, music videos, like production stuff. And he uses down. I sort of he was down for me to like micromanage him and stuff. And we had just the script. I made a blue shot list. We shot it in the valley and we went to these locations and kind of like the batting cage thing was interesting too. We got some different angles of that, and Tanner is kind of just like off the races too. Like, he just got in 2 seconds. We went over the voice, and then we let
Did you
him like
guys come
spin.
up with that character? Because I sent you the Guillermo del Toro moment. I forget his name, but it was that actor who played that like bizarre kind of transatlantic accent where he was like the salesperson or whatever. Anyway, everyone check out like the Netflix Guillermo del Toro series. It's really fucking good.
Oh, it's new.
Yeah, yeah, it just came out. But that character reminded me a lot of this one. So how did you develop this character? Was it just like kind of an in the moment thing?
I'm trying to remember. I mean, I literally probably we were between like two ideas for the Valley Mentality commercial. One, I went over with my dad after I came up with this one, and my dad was like, "Dude, no, maybe." Everyone was like, "Don't make fun of the Valley. Don't make it like this hokey thing that like, because my whole idea was like, I want to do kind of a Ozzy and Harriet perfect Pleasantville type couple in like a dodgeball, the documentary video, the training video in the movie Dodgeball, comedic, kind of like old 1950s Pleasantville. Wanted to do something like that. I just thought something
Right.
like that in the valley would be funny, being like, oh yeah, we're hokey in the valley, but it's all right. And capture that corniness in a cool way.
Yeah.
And so
And
that
I
kind of,
didn't feel like you were making fun of the valley at all. I felt like it was
well,
more about the characters.
I knew that up front, and it was honestly just more proof to every step of the way people underestimate you. and doubt you, and they don't see your vision. And most
Including
people,
your own father.
including my own father, rightfully so. And like, I'm sure I do it to my friends, and I'll do it to my kids some days too. It's a testament to human beings. You don't know what's in the other person. So the more that you can let people off the hook and do your own thing, take everything with a grain of salt. Sometimes you have to just do the best that you can, and you win some, you lose some. And dude, I completely just thought it was a good idea. And like my own cousin Chris King, like I just remember him saying no, like I don't get it. Are you making fun of the Valley? And I'm like, I keep going back to like the Valley doesn't have to be cool. We're capturing the uncool in a cool way. It's how you present it. Everything else has to be cool, and tasteful. But I'm not trying to make something about like, oh, these people in the Valley are so cool. It's like, no, I want the underdogs to be captured and shown some love.
I also didn't fully grasp, like, I know what I heard from you, and I kind of got my own sense, sort of like what Valley Mentality is as a brand.
Yeah.
Really didn't fully grasp it until I saw this commercial.
That's music to my ears. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, dude. Because I just think you did such a good job in like a minute and a half. It's so succinct. Everything's there.
Well, my dad's always said, and it's really come home to me the last couple of years, that like a great trailer can be better than anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that goes for like a TikTok too, or anything. Like if you can tell a story in one line, 30 seconds,
Exactly, bro.
50 seconds, a minute and a half, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever. But if it's going to be shorter, you better make it pop that whole time. So,
and the most important thing is like, you don't want indifference. Like you want people to be really hyped about something or like have a really averse reaction to something. So like, because the worst thing that can happen is you make something and people kind of forget about it. But yeah. I think what you're saying is totally true. Like, people think there's a certain structure, like every feature needs to be 90 minutes or whatever. But at the end of the day, we're just making stories. And it's like, if you can put 100%. Out something that people grasp onto, that's like 30 seconds, it's great.
And honestly, like it's probably on some level, of course, different with horror, but I'm just thinking for like most things, even this podcast is like, if we're having fun, if it's something that's like, you feel free and excited, then the audience is going to feel that too. So I just know, and it's rhythmic, it's musical, it's everything. It's just how do you make it the most interesting thing that it can be? And everything's got a lot of potential. So
I'm gonna pivot slightly. When you say the thing about like being excited about it or being free, like having fun with it, I think that's really important. I just started doing something called analog horror, which is basically like, it's like a subgenre of horror, but I don't have to get actors. I don't have to get anyone. It's me just like editing some creepy like VCR shit. And it's really fucking fun. And it's like me following that trail of like, this is really fun. I know like I'm still figuring out the form with each one I do, but it's getting better and better. And just because I'm loving spending the time getting better at it. And so like the more
rewind. I'm glad that that's the message, that you're having fun doing it. So you're going to follow that. What is this analog horror?
So analog horror it's a subgenre of horror where it's basically,
is it a movie? Is it a what type of medium is it?
It's like VCR basically. So like when you saw VCR, and you'll have to look up like some examples. You'll really get it when you see it. But it's basically like, it's got these like glitchy effects. You have some grainy photos, and it's building like a kind of lore or like a story.
Or like a science project? Or are you releasing these? Is it going into YouTube?
I'm going to release them. Yeah, it's going to be like weekly. I'm going to mix it in. I'm still doing live action stuff. I'm actually about to ramp up where it's like, I'll be releasing once a week.
So this is a type of style.
Yeah.
On movies.
I'll give you an example.
They are movies.
I'll give you an example. My favorite analog horror of all time is called Contingency. And it was basically a lost VCR tape that was supposed to be shown during like the end of World War II if America had surrendered. And it's like, all citizens, like, you should do your duty. Like, it was basically telling everyone to shoot themselves, like, because the enemy had come and like taken their homes and shit. And just the way that it's so fucking disturbing and creepy. It's got like 3 million hits. So
That's
like
a that's a short film.
it is a short film. Yeah.
It's a short film. All
Yeah.
right, with actors and everything.
No actors.
Then how did it tell everyone to shoot themselves?
Because it's got graphics and images and videos, but but it's not like a narrative.
It's not newly found footage or anything. That's all like old stuff that's already been out there.
You can shoot stuff and make it seem old. Like you can put grainy effects and shit. So you could put up some text that looks weird VCR like or whatever. You can go and shoot something, then you can make that look grainy and whatever and creepy and just combine those two things.
I suppose I'm just trying to figure out what is this analog horror that separates it from like short films and stuff, or like a
It's
horror.
definitely, I feel like I'm trying to explain it, but I feel like seeing some of it, you'll get a better grasp of it. But it's essentially a horror short that looks like it's like an old VCR grainy tape, but it's not like a narrative actor properly set up.
That's the style. All right.
Yeah.
It's I'm seeing it right here. Not to derail you.
No, not at all, bro.
Niche subgenre of horror fiction and an offshoot of the found footage film technique. So found footage previously, like you said.
Yeah, yeah.
Often cited as originating from early 2010 internet videos, analog horror is characterized by low fidelity graphics, cryptic messages, and visual styles reminiscent of late 20th century TV and analog. So it's a stylistic thing to, like you said, like to made to look like VHS.
And I dig it because we're of the generation, we were just on the cusp of VCRs, right? Like, do you remember having VCR tapes and shit?
Exactly. By the way, I was gonna try to do that for this commercial to make it look like a Mr. T music video with the staticky VHS stuff.
I get it, but dude, I don't think you need it.
No, we don't now.
Oh,
thank you. That was just like what I originally thought of. But yeah, thank you. But just I'm just bringing that up in regards to like that VHS look obviously is super trendy at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool, but it's fun, and that's the most important thing. So follow the fun.
Bro, that's the thing is like you're gonna have to reinvent yourself all the time anyway.
All the time, bro.
And like you just should get good at everything. Like
exactly.
You should get so into all the different styles, whether it's analog or why not do animation and shit too and stuff,
Dude, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I think the same goes for you with acting, right? The more versatile you can be, you're not just a comedic actor. It's like you want to be able to do everything, the whole spectrum.
100%. And now even more, like I want to be able to make films, on some level.
Direct.
Yeah, and like I don't want to follow the traditional directing path, but I just want to be able to do what I want to do with making stuff.
Dude, speaking of traditional like path, big news came out this week. This guy named Kane Pixels, who's a YouTuber, he's made basically his biggest thing. It's called The Backrooms. And his first video on The Backrooms got like 44 million hits, and then he's just built on that. So he's created maybe like 15 shorts on just The Backrooms, and he just signed a deal. He's 17 years old, and he was just a YouTuber.
They all.
Yeah. He has 2 million subscribers on YouTube because of this series. But because of how popular these videos got, he now signed with like James Wan and like other big horror people to helm his own horror feature. And so like seeing that, it's like I feel like there's a whole crop of filmmakers, and you've heard this whole spiel as we like talk to other horror people, but like starting with David Sandberg, he got Lights Out, and then he got the green light for the feature. But like that happened.
What was the feature? What was David Sandberg's feature?
It's called Lights Out too.
So, did I know? Is it big? Was it big?
I mean, at the time, I think it was pretty big.
Okay.
It's like I think the short's better than the feature, but it's a solid feature. But that was back in like 2016, and I was kind of on the edge. I'm like, is this still work? Like, or do you have to follow the more traditional whatever, like hope for the best? And dude, I don't like asking for permission. I like just making my own shit. Like you said, being free to just create the things you want to do. And so like seeing this kid, this 17-year-old kid, I'm seeing these legendary horror people, Jeff Howard, who like wrote Oculus and all of the like Mike Flanagan projects on Netflix. He tweeted about this kid. It's like, you can bring traditional Hollywood to you. You don't have to extend yourself out to it. which is why I feel like the YouTube grind and just putting out your stuff and getting reactions is still the way to go.
Yeah, I love that we're both people that like aspire to just make the best things ourselves so that we don't have to go through the system. I was
Yeah.
thinking about you. I saw that horror movie, The Candyman, recently.
What'd you think?
I was not a big fan personally.
Really? How come?
uh
Did you watch the remake or the original?
the recent one.
Okay.
Yeah, by A24.
Yeah.
And like it was really good production value, but it was like yeah, whatever. I just wasn't a huge fan. But it did make me think. I know a common theme in like horror films going forward is going to be like, how can you make them, and it's always been like this, a really good dramatic movie as well.
Right.
And like a good, it's got to have like kind of, I don't know, this one was political messaged. And also is very stylized. I was thinking for you, like you already do this. And it comes to mind with the fisherman for me, but you got to make your stuff so cinematic. How cinematic can you make your stuff on a budget? You know, that like you make it so that they look at your thing and are just like, dude, this guy is like, we need him to come in and set the tone for like our style. Style is something that everyone can implement, you know, and it doesn't come overnight. But I think it's, and I'm sure, well, you do already do it. But I, for me, I was like, that's something that Jacob can capitalize on because people don't normally think style with horror. And it's like when you see the big horror films, they are stylized. So, like, why not start now? Really hitting it
It's
hard.
interesting, bro. Can you expand on what you mean by style? Like, are you saying like lockdown shots? You're saying on a budget, so really cinematic. So basically making something that looks like it was like really expensive when it wasn't.
Not, yeah, I appreciate it. I'll expand on that. Not necessarily, well, like the pilot that we did ended up looking really, really good with the editing and stuff. Not not tooting our own horn, but because I just did. But the point is like make something that proves that you can do it with any budget because you can. The bar is there. Like you just need to have the vision and figure out how to make it look better than these freaking crappy things.
I appreciate that, bro. I agree.
By the way, you do already do it. You do already do it. And I'm
I
just
mean,
saying, I see that as a place to separate yourself because a lot of, especially the procedural TV shows and stuff that are out there, look clunky as shit. So it's
right.
like they're looking, here's how you separate yourself as a short film maker. You can still do it. You can still do it. And that model will never change, whether it's a TikTok or anything. They're looking to discover people, but you do need to make them better than the feature films. You need to make them better because the feature films suck. I got news for you. They freaking suck. So it's like, how can you separate yourself? You can make it more gritty. That's why they go to the small people. Their short films aren't just trying to copy, they're not trying to be the next best thing to big feature film. It's got to be something that they're like, oh my gosh, the rest of the world hasn't seen this yet. We're stumbling upon a gold mine here. That same advice goes for me too.
I agree, bro. When you say grittier though, are you saying in terms of like the final thing, like the final look of the thing?
I
The
am
thing
in
is
terms of the
good.
final look. In terms of the final look, for sure. I think it's in your best interest to find. I'm sure you already have a great team, but you got to find cinematographer, DP, whatever, and you start working this yourself. That can turn in golden looks, and not just like because it's expensive, but because like how you said, like thinking about different shots and stuff that are more cinematic, like the hallway versus the wall. They got to be like they got to be like Alejandra Iritu's guy. You know what? Chiva. They got to be like Chiva, dude. You got to find people like that. That literally everything looks like Sundance Film Festival when they do it because that's not easy. It's not that difficult to do anymore. And then also, like, I'm gonna get my fucking camera in a month. I'm gonna get my digital thing that looks like film, and I guarantee I'm gonna geek out on making it look the coolest stuff I possibly can.
Right.
And it's not easy, and I'm sure maybe I'll probably be eating my words instantly and be like, this is so much harder than I thought it was gonna be. But I think the image is one way to capitalize on that. And then I think you got to find stories that are like real. and stuff, like true and also like controversial maybe. Some ways that like you can't just be following in the footsteps anymore of some of these big people. You gotta force them to look at you.
I agree with everything you're saying. I think I think I'll expand on that. Like, first of all, um, I have not made one thing that like every time it gets a little better as far as like properly set up, but I haven't made one thing where I'm like, this is my calling card. This is 100% like, yeah, like Fisherman got like a lot of views, but even that is not like, okay, like what you're talking about, where every fucking shot is like an Ari Aster type, picturesque, exact directorial type thing. Um, I agree. I think that it's important to find that and to continue to make better shit that's cinematic. But I also feel like building your own audience is just as important because at the end of the day, even the studios are like, that's all that they want. They just want audience for their shit. I mean, it's like, it makes sense. Like I don't even have to say it really, but at the end of the day, it's all about making money. And it's like if there's a built-in audience already following a creator, I think that that's huge. So like how I could leverage that, for example, when I'm not able to make purely cinematic things like you're saying, like every single week, just because that's like an impossibility.
Oh, yeah.
I think filling in the gaps with some other shit only to like continue to raise the numbers. Then it's like you can leverage your audience in a way where it's like, oh, I want to make a feature. Let me funnel this entire audience over to a GoFundMe and let's like fund this whole thing ourselves. You know what I mean?
It's a good point. It's a good point. I think both are true.
They are. They're
Those
both.
aren't contrasting things.
No.
But what I see for you now is like because you have had successful things, and it's like okay, if you're wondering how to get to the next echelon, what you just described is one way to do it, and you keep chipping away at that, and there's no right answer to that. But I do want to see you do something that's uh,
Like,
kind of
holy fuck. Yeah.
yeah, and like has real weight to it is different, like makes people look at them because that's what it takes in drama and horror as a young filmmaker these days. And it did make you think the dude that we just talked to, he did Sundance Film Lab. Would you ever consider doing something like that? Or like I'm sure you would love to, but like how do you should be thinking that way? How do you get into that shit?
Who is it that we talked to that did Sundance?
Our last guest.
Our last guest. Wasn't that Tanner? Before Josh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Josh? Yeah.
I don't know. We'll find it. But yeah, dude. I mean, I think Sundance and there are some labs out there that are cool. I agree, bro.
It's the connects if you do Sundance Film Lab.
Yeah, yeah. This career path that we're following. It's like you said, there's no one right answer. It's like you kind of have to create your own chaos and be like, okay, this is the blueprint that I'm following. This is the thing. I really want to create exactly what you're talking about. I want to make that like banger of a fucking thing. And I think you should. Is that something you're interested in doing too?
100%, 100%. I'm getting this new camera, and no one's gonna be.
What camera are you getting?
I'm getting the Fujifilm FX100, I believe. It's considered the most user-friendly camera that's fancy and awesome. And it's digital, but it looks like film. It's like fucking stunning.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So I'm getting that, and then I'm not gonna be held ransom to any fucking artists anymore. Fuck them.
So you're gonna be shooting it yourself.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
Which I plan on writing shit and shooting it off the fucking cuff, left and right and center.
That's the way to do it. Like you're saying, like being beholden to other people. That's been my biggest challenge because I've made so many of these. And whether it's, I mean, I've had an easier time with cinematographers overall as opposed to actors. But even cinematographers, bro, like just because I've worked with so many people at this point,
Yeah.
That's the most challenging thing about what we're trying to do is that it is a collaborative art form. And there is great, like, I love that about this, where it's like, as a director, your job is to have this strong vision and communicate it clearly to people, and then allow them, create a space for them to make their best work. I love that. However, getting everyone on the same page, as far as like even getting on a set, is like so much fucking just uphill, bro.
And it's crazy because you kind of, when you envision like starting out and being, gritty and up and coming, it's like, oh, everyone's in it together, and you might not have money, but at least you don't have the producers breathing down your neck. You have this community with you of like hustlers that are like talented and have everything on the line. And no, it hasn't been like that for me at all. And I don't think it has been for you either. I think you've put in some real work to build a community of people that you can work with and stuff. And I have on some level too, but it's like, no, it hasn't been that. I'm really looking forward to getting those people that in the back pocket that like they are so dynamic and stuff. And now that I'm starting to create a little bit of a body of work, mainly with the clothing stuff, it's been all Valley Mentality because that's my biggest stamp of taste so far. My acting work is fun, but I haven't really gotten to show stuff that like is different or because you're just acting in it and everyone's, that's like, oh, cool. Like, I bet that's a tough career move to be getting acting work. But when you make something that's like a film thing like this or something, or photos or clothes, people are like, they see your style immediately. And that's what the artists gravitate towards.
Yeah, but I think there's a way of like, if you're writing your own roles, I don't know how you're not planning on like shooting and acting in this shit, right?
I imagine I will. I mean, I don't have to be the actual cameraman every time. I'll just provide the equipment.
Dude, that's the move.
Yeah,
If a lot of people will hop on, if you're providing the equipment, that's cool. But
yeah,
but dude, if you can, I mean, it goes for acting too, because you can write the fucking best. I mean, it's really fucking hard to get that. But like, if you chip away and finally get good enough at like writing scripts, maybe you're already there, but to the point where you can write this role that if anyone watches, they're like, holy fuck. That's the same thing that I would be going for with like a picturesque, absolute perfect film. It's just
100%.
like it's like Tarantino said, it's like waves on a beach. Like there might be more people creating shit now, but that's just waves on a beach. But if you have a stick of fucking nitro and you throw it in that ocean, everyone's gonna notice. That's Tarantino.
And that's the point. And I don't think that means that you, for instance, have to do a feature film necessarily or cut the timing in which you do it. I think it's just getting better with like style. That's like an area that maybe like isn't the number one priority when you're just like trying to capture your vision. But I'm just saying like that's a clear way I can imagine that you can separate yourself.
I agree.
I don't know. I mean, how would that happen? I mean, to consistently.
Well, here's the thing, bro. I've had lots of projects that I've worked on where I've set out with that intention. But because I was at a certain stage in my progression as an artist, the end result wasn't there. So you can approach it with that kind of an intention, but I don't think it's going to be first project out the gate. Like I think it takes
a lot of your stuff is like very beautifully shot and stuff. Like what? Yeah.
I mean, thanks. But and I think the closest that I probably ever got to it was a short I did called The Waiting Room, which I'm really proud of, just the way it looks. But yeah, dude. I mean, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, you're gonna get to a point where like you can't have that stuff not look great. And because part of it is like, oh, you're hustling, you're someone that writes, you're like a writer first, and that is a very impressive thing. But then also like on some level, you're always gonna have to be, and this for me too, you're always gonna have to pivot. And like for starting out, a lot of times people don't want to see the behind the scenes. Sometimes they want to see the product look amazing and they don't care how you got there. And then once they find out that you're amazing, then they're like, oh, now I'll look back and see all this shit. And like that's impressive. But while you're building it sometimes, which I'm always going back and forth, even on my Instagram, what I present to the world, like, hey, do I show them the little comedy videos that I was doing or something? Or maybe that's not that big time. And people, how you kind of build a strong brand is by doing big time shit.
But I'll say this too. I think view count might be just as important. However, as far as getting traditional Hollywood to take a look and give you an opportunity, but I think those two things are kind of hand in hand. If you have something that's fucking unbelievable and you put it out there, more people are going to watch it. And the things, and like this Backrooms thing that the kid, 17-year-old kid just got a feature deal. It is incredible VFX, and that's why so many people flooded to it. But I think, yeah, dude, I think it's those two things. I think it's like having an audience around it that's already built in, but also being able to prove that, like, yeah, look, this is my calling card.
Look, that dude, and you, by the way, you do already have stuff that like is so impressive and stuff.
Dude, thank you. I appreciate it. You don't, I really.
No, well, I do have to counter you saying
about you too, because I've seen the things that you've acted in, right? And I could completely say the same about you. But I think the most important thing is like how you feel, right? Do you have anything else in you that's like, do you feel like you've used up all your potential? I can say for sure there's more potential in me that's to like a higher level.
Oh yeah. No, I think for you and me both, it's like you get all these great ideas. It's definitely have not capped out in the slightest.
You're just getting warmed up, bro.
Right? Well, no, to say the least. And the thing is like it's good to keep just talking about this and thinking this way and kind of make it realer that like, hey, the stakes are high. Like the time is now to get those big gigs. For me, an acting role that would be like astounding would be, you want to do something that's super high production value that is like a really, I mean, like even in those Lifetime movies, I got a lot of screen time. Like those are technically deep roles, but you want something that is different. And I think for you as well, stylistically, look at Tyler McIntyre that we had the interview with. His movie VHS or whatever. I think that caught a lot of attention because it had this different style and it was fucking on point, all the performances and stuff. And the stories were weird and different. The Medusa thing is weird. And it doesn't always have to be weird, but like there's actors that I see, Robert Pattinson, for better or for worse, he said he doesn't do anything unless it's weird and different. Right. So like, we got to think.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to compare yourself to everyone else and say, what aren't they doing?
Right, bro. There's a short that Ari Aster, he directed Hereditary and Midsommar. He's like one of the biggest horror directors right now. He did a horror short called There's Something About the Johnsons that everyone knows because it's so fucked up and so like weird. It's basically about this kid who's molesting his dad. And it's like the saga of their whole relationship and how the dad ends up dying and shit. Like it's so fucked up. And the way he shoots it too is also like very cinematic. And so those two things of like super fucking cinematic and this idea that everyone remembers because it's so fucked,
Look, that's fantastic. You want to get a huge actor to want to star in one of your movies. You get a big actor, then it'll get greenlit and shit. How you get big actors is by making your thing look amazing because some actors won't do your thing. They'll stop playing after 10 seconds if it doesn't look different and cool. So it's like, I don't think that's just production value. I think that's look out for the trends and figure out how to be ahead of it. And like, just make it different and interesting, whether that means it's on a VHS tape like you're talking about or on something else, but it's got to be slick editing. It's got to be like real, something with grit and stuff too. And, I'm trying to get these acting roles that are like that as well. And I'm doing it with my clothing company and stuff too. Like it's, I don't know. It's all good stuff though.
Dude, you're just spitting gems today.
There we go. Thank you.
Bro, it's so true. Everything you're saying, I'm resonating with. I think you should dig for like, because anyone can make like a run of the mill short or like whatever, but
not anyone, but yes, to your point, like it's,
but there are a lot of like horror short creators on YouTube. There are a lot at this point, right? Yep. And a lot of them follow like a formulaic type thing. And so I think part of it,
That's hard enough as it is. That's hard enough as it is.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think part of it too is like learning the rules, and then once you get really good at that, breaking it and being like,
Exactly.
how can I make it distinctive?
Here's another way to put it too. Think how superstars would be thinking. When they're giant, all they do is they have these deals with like huge studios to do stuff that's seemingly boring and their careers riding on it, and they feel like they can't take a chance. What would they want to do more than anything? They want to do something indie, but they don't want to just do it with any indie person. They want to do it with someone who's like can take risks because they're not be held by the studios and stuff.
Right,
It's like we are those people.
right,
We
right.
are those people that can take risks and stuff. What does that really mean? At the end of the day, I think if something's good, it's good. If it's compelling, if it's interesting, if it's real, if people resonate with it, if it captures your attention for an hour and a half, that's fucking not easy to do. So that being said, though, that's I think the way to enter it sometimes too is like, yeah,
It is true, bro. The A-listers, like at the end of the day, when they have all the money in the world and all the fame and all like whatever,
yep,
all they want at the end of the day to feel fulfilled is a great fucking role with like a really
do something good.
solid
They want to
director.
do something good. That's it.
Yeah, because
And
that'll continue to make them more famous and more wealthy and all this shit, you know?
their life rests on it, you know? So it's like,
Yeah, dude.
that's called thinking big. How do you get that? And it's not fighting our own fights, it's fighting the biggest of the biggest fights. And the good news is that is kind of applicable to us.
And I still like the YouTube model because I think there's something dope about being able to make something and release it out and then
Yeah.
millions of people can watch it. And so like if you were to take that approach and be like what's the biggest thing I can make that'll
Yep.
attract a fucking superstar and then just put it on YouTube, dude.
Look, YouTube, whatever, like anywhere, make the fucking thing badass, different. Um, just rich, and you're doing it. You're already doing it, but that's
Bro.
the way
Dude,
to.
I like surrounding myself and it just happens naturally, right? Like we clicked the first time we met and
Yeah,
I think a lot of it has to do with like our mindset and our approach to shit and the fact that we've grown to this point where we're talking like people don't have these conversations. And this is the kind of mentality that you have to have in order to make it to the next level.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's good shit. I like that you're getting this new camera and you're actually going to learn how to use it. I've never done that with like a proper camera.
What do you mean? You're a camera guy.
Nah, dude. I always bring
Not at
in the
all.
camera guy. Yeah. I never shoot stuff.
That's surprising me. I thought you knew your way around a camera.
Nah, dude.
Oh
I know the way I want it to be shot. I know the look, the
my
vision,
god.
but I just talk to the camera guy and I'm like, this is what I want. And then he knows how to do it.
Well, that's actually good to know. That man, that means it's possible then for all of us. But that's awesome though. Yeah, dude. I mean, obviously I'll chronicle you on how it's going and stuff. I can't wait.
Dude,
Um,
I can't believe that. I mean, I can, like you've been talking it for, you know, for a while, but I'm stoked for you that you're going beyond just the acting thing. You're not
thanks.
looking for opportunities, which is the most frustrating thing to me, where people are just like, yeah, you know, I'm thinking of doing an audition. It's like you're writing, you're directing, you're thinking, you know,
Thanks.
that's the mentality you gotta have.
Following the fun.
Follow the fun. That's what Jordan Peele said he did when he wrote Get Out. Follow the fun.
It shows. All right, brother. You watching anything good at the moment?
Nah, you go.
I've been watching this all or nothing show on Brazil national soccer team. The document.
Hell yeah, bro. Quality narrative content. It's good.
Dude, if it's good, it's good.
Oh yeah. Good seeing you, dog. Keep up the
You
good
too,
work.
brother.
All
You
right.
know, talk later.
Bye.